we should get going. My sister's coming over.
Sister? I didn't think you had a sister.
Oh, yeah, no, recent development. Yeah, long-lost sister. Well, actually, half-sister.
Which half? On which side?
My dad's.
Older? Younger?
Older.
Oh, dear. Oh, dear.
Is there a problem?
Well, she may have a claim to the estate. So either you'd have to buy her out, which you don't have the money for, or sell the house and split the proceeds. Admittedly, those are worst-case scenarios, but it's a very serious situation.
Oh, I mean, so what can we do?
Well, first things first, you need to confirm her identity. A birth certificate, at least, if not a DNA test.
A DNA test? You're not serious.
I'm always serious. Ask my wife.
Hello and welcome to Haunting Button House, a BBC Ghosts podcast. I am Luke and I am joined by Tash. How are you today, Tash?
I'm okay, thanks, Luke. How are you?
I'm okay, thanks. We're not looping again. We've got to carry on. We've got things to talk about. Speaking of, what have you been up to this week?
Well, it feels like a long time since you've been here.
Yeah, I say a week. It's been 2 weeks, hasn't it?
Yeah, apologies, team. Just busy.
Yeah, life finds a way. That's the Jurassic Park.
We did something that the captain would be proud of, and we went to Cosford Air Show.
We did, yeah.
So for anyone who doesn't know what it is, it's the Royal Air Force, Cosford, near to where we live in the Midlands. As with most RAF bases, they put on an air show each year. So we saw lots of planes.
Yeah.
Saw super fast jets.
Yeah.
Sometimes 2 jets. Sometimes 9 jets.
Yes, yeah. I was like 9 jets. I was like, yeah.
But yeah, we saw some planes that the captain would have enjoyed.
Yeah. Enjoyed. I don't know. Do you reckon he'd like planes? He likes tanks and that, so maybe he'd like planes
I
as
don't know.
well.
I think if you're into that, you're into the lot. Welcome, Shelley, to the proceedings.
She's had her food and then she's ready to join in the podcast.
Shelley didn't go to Cosford.
No,
but,
I don't think she'd enjoy the sonic boom and everything.
No. But yeah, lots to see. It's a military base, so I'd say the captain would have enjoyed it.
There's a lot of gear that you can buy.
Army gear. Yeah. We didn't buy any army gear.
No. It's expensive. It's more expensive than I thought it'd be. I mean, it's proper like ex-army stuff, so yeah.
Ex-army stuff.
Yeah, and also police jackets, which I thought that doesn't seem like a good idea. Just selling people police jackets.
But yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it anyway. I do like a good... I mean, everyone was very impressed with the jets, but you can't beat a Spitfire.
You love a Spitfire, didn't you?
Well, my favourite is the Lancaster bomber when there wasn't any there.
I didn't have one. But you had a B-17 bomber, though. You missed that because you left before that came on, didn't you? So.
But...
Oh, well, you can't win them all.
You can't.
I'm sure we did something else as well, but I cannot for the life of me remember what it was now. I guess last night we watched, talking of something slightly related to ghosts, we watched the final episode of Inside Number 9, which
had lots of ghosts actors in it.
From memory, I remember Jim Herrick was in it, Ben Wilbond, and Matthew Bainton. I don't think there might be other ghosts. Oh, is Jessica Knappett in it? In an episode? Yes. I'm sure she is.
Yeah, I'm sure she is.
I don't know if like Charlotte Ritchie and Kyle are in it. Anyway.
We should have looked into it before we started this.
You've got IMDb. This isn't the Inside Number 9 podcast. There's another one for those if you're interested.
Would recommend Inside Number 9 though for anyone who hasn't watched it. Very different to Ghosts.
Yes.
But still absolutely worth a watch.
Not a watch with your family. I will say that now. It's not...
In what way?
In terms of like it can be violent or
Well, it depends who your
dark.
family are, though.
Well, yeah. If your family's into that, then go for it, yeah.
Maybe not small children. Though.
Yes, that's what I meant, yeah. Like, it's not one for kids. But then again, is ghosts... It's kind of... I think it's probably passable. Like,
yeah, I would say so.
There's
definitely... There's adult themes, but they're kind of hidden.
Yeah,
Which is... Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we watched that and... check it out. A lot of the cast from this, so yeah, you might enjoy it. It's got the same kind of like British.
Yeah.
There's an episode that feels very Horrible Histories as well, where it's about like a witch trial. So that would be fit in with that. So maybe if you're looking for a historical angle, maybe start with that one. I wouldn't say it's the best one, but still good. I still think it was a good episode. So anyway, again, we're not Inside Number 9 podcast, so... Have we had any feedback?
I was going to say, should we have a look at some feedback? Yeah, so we've got some feedback, obviously. So this is from the Woodworm Men, which was the last episode that we had a look at. So I'm a bit out of sync with my feedback. Alison asked about you going to see Tool, which you mentioned last time.
Yeah, I did reply on that one,
yeah. And then Caroline said, so this is about the Woodworm Men. I really like this episode. There's such a lot of good character moments. It's nice to get everyone out of the house for a bit and having a little adventure together. I love that Fanny thinks that what she wants is peace and quiet and everything in its place, but actually she very much misses having everyone around and the normal hustle and bustle of the house.
It's very much like you don't know what you've got till it's gone.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah. Caroline also said, I've been watching Rob and Ryland's Grand Tour. I've seen that advertised, but I've not seen it.
Yeah.
I do like Rob and Ryland.
Oh, it's Rob Rinder, isn't it? I thought it was... for some reason, I thought it was Rob Brydon.
No.
It's Rob Rinder, yeah.
Recently, and they are following the footsteps of Byron through Italy. So many times it put me in the mind of Thomas declaring everything in Europe is just nice. I've never seen Nightmare on Elm Street. Me too. So thanks for the synopsis, which adds much more to Kitty's lines, specifically about being able to sleep again. I guess that a lot of being spooked about scary situations is just psychological, the imagination playing tricks. And so, although it isn't logical for Robin and Julian to be scared of the sudden darkness, they are still subject to those suggestive thoughts.
Mm-hmm. And also, I think you'd probably forget that you're dead after a bit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, at the initial, you just get used to it.
To just existing in that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did read a video. I did watch a video where they said that you're only ever born with two fears.
What are they?
I can't remember.
I thought you were waiting for me to ask.
Well, I think one of them...
Surely it's death and...
No.
Loud noises is one, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Loud noises and... Oh, this is embarrassing. Why did I mention that when I don't even know what
Do you know what? You carry on doing that. I'll find out two fears.
Okay, so Mary Ann said, I like this episode a lot. I love that they're all out of the house and everyone's personality traits shine. My American viewer question is, what the heck is woodworm? I don't think it's a thing over here. We have termites, but not heard of anyone treating for woodworm. I think it's kind of the same thing.
They're not the same bugs, I don't think. Maybe they are. I'm not sure actually. But maybe a double Google going on here.
I know that like so I know my mum's got a gramophone which has got woodworm, and you can see where the worm it's kind of gross actually. Where they've like come out of the wood. But I guess if you've got wooden floorboards, they're just gonna like rattle through the place.
There's a lot of different types of woodworms, so I don't know.
Okay.
But yeah, woodworms are just like they're like beetles, but the woodworm is like the larva kind of stage of it where it just eats wood. There probably is something like that in America, maybe, because I can't imagine they're just native to Europe. But yeah.
So Marianne also said, I'm with Mike on this point. Camping is not on any level fun. Although camping and being able to see ghosts might be worth the trouble. So many bits to love. Mary and her attempts to roast the exterminators. I'm so bad.
Roast. How's it spelled?
R-O-U-S-T.
R-O-U-S-T. Roast? Yeah, roast, yeah. I've not heard that word either.
The Exterminators. The captain being pretty much clueless, but so darn cute. Robin and Julian getting spooked. Mike trying so hard. Kitty is continuing to grow on me. She does Terror well. Fanny walking around, pursing her lips. Humphrey playing dead. Thomas's grand tour being nice. Great episode. I'll give it an 8.
So the 2 fears you're born with are falling and loud noises. So there you go.
There we go.
Which I guess, even as a baby, that's just 2 things you know. That they ain't good. Either of those things. So yeah, it makes sense.
And just another bit of feedback that we had off the back of when we didn't record a podcast, where we didn't record an episode last week, is Marianne also said, I can't imagine you have a life aside from Button House podcasts. So yeah,
pretty much.
True,
we just go into hibernation
yeah.
between episodes, yeah.
I said I'm waiting for a phone call to say I've inherited a large house. I can quit my job and only record podcasts.
The dream.
Yeah. And Jan said that she loves to listen to the podcast in Australia. So that's a new... I don't think we've had Australian interaction.
Correspondence. No, it's interesting because we obviously can see the stats of where people are listening from. And naturally, because we're like a UK or England-based podcast, I just assume that it's just going to be people from England. But I'd say our largest listeners are probably United States and Australia, which is just wild. Like,
and we have Chantal from Canada.
And Canada,
well,
yes, so probably Canada as well. I mean, I'm not going to check the live stats now, but yeah, it's a lot more in like US and in like
I'm just
North
thinking
America.
of like the people that interact with like the podcast and like social media as well. I think Caroline, you can correct me, but I'm sure you said you're from the East Midlands of the UK, so. There's our one UK listener.
There we go. Yeah. You've got one.
So yeah, lots of interesting comments. So yeah, should we get on with the episode?
So this week we are looking at episode 3, season 3, episode 4. Entitled I Love Lucy. It was directed by Nick Collette, written by Lawrence Ricard and Ben Wilbond. I literally can't help myself from going to say it. All from a typo.
Oh no.
And the original air date was the 30th of August 2021. So we start and we see all of the ghosts talking about their favourite cocktails. As we find out this is their cocktail society, or cocksock.
Cocksock. That really made me laugh.
Yeah. I love the way that he keeps saying acronyms like this, completely bluntly not realising how like
they sound.
how much of an innuendo they are. Julian says that his favourites are Sex on the Beach and doesn't really understand that they're talking about cocktails. I feel at this part Julian seems to intentionally get things wrong just to be smutty, I think.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, because it's kind of like that.
Yeah.
Then he sticks his tongue out.
Do you know that there's always... I think everybody knows that type of person who they always want to be smutty in every situation.
I generally avoid them.
Yeah. Thomas says that he would choose a port and lemon because he says it's bitter and tart. Which Robin sort of mocks him for. Robin also says that his favourite cocktail would be puddle water mixed with river water.
Nice.
To which Pat says that that's not really a cocktail. Mary says she doesn't partake because it's the devil's juice. And the captain goes on to explain that because he said that this is a cocksock, he explains that he was the fucked up of co... he was fucked up as co of icht, which the Pat says they're just not real words, yeah. Just saying acronyms. And then as they're having this discussion, they're all interrupted by singing. And Kitty thinks that it could be her. Obviously not, though, if she's in the room currently. And we find out it's Fanny in unusually high spirits. She dances in and compliments everyone and then waltzes back out again as all the ghosts are shocked and confused at what's happening. And then we go into the intro. We then go to Alison and Mike at the solicitors. I like here that we get a little callback to Mike in the first episode where he compliments him on the potpourri and he says it's actually granola. And basically they've gone in because their solicitors now sorted out their driveway, which again is another callback to Barclay basically saying that he had access, he owned the driveway, so now it's all squared away. And he apologises. And then Alison kind of doesn't imply, just outright says that they need to go because her sister's coming over later.
I think she's kind of proud. Which obviously we, without giving anything away, it's kind of sad. She's kind of like, my sister's coming over. Like, it's a novelty, I suppose, because, I mean, she said that her dad passed when she was young and her mum passed more recently. She's probably not got any family, so it's kind of, I just thought it was sweet how, like, sort of proud she is that, like, she has a sister that's coming over. But I
think it's just nice, isn't it, that she's got somebody again. So but she mentions this, and the solicitor is kind of taken aback by this because he wasn't aware that she had a sister, and starts asking questions about if she's older and other things. And basically he implies that this could complicate things with the house, because if she is older, she may have a claim on the house, especially because it's on her dad's side. So he suggests that she should get a DNA test, to which she says, "You can't be serious." And he says, "He's always serious, ask his wife." And he's just completely stone-faced about this. We go back to the house, and the ghosts think that something's definitely up with Fanny. And the captain says that she does have a lighter side, to which Pat says, "Not that light." Kitty suggests she could be unwell, and one of them says, I can't remember who says it.
I wrote this down because it really made me laugh. Kitty says, "Perhaps she's unwell," and Pat said, "She's dead, Kitty." And she's like, "There you are."
It's how like, well, we figured it out. Mary suggests she could be possessed. They kind of write this off initially, but then because they say, "Oh, it's all made up," but then they say, "Well, ghosts are made up." So, and then we see Alison and Mike arrive, basically talking about this DNA test and how they would even begin to approach it. Mike suggests that she casually brings it up in conversation, which I would love to see somebody attempt that. And Mike says, "You know what, it could be fuss all over nothing. She might not even be interested in the house, so maybe you just don't need to worry about it." And he says he has to go back to work, and he says he's not sure how he feels, if he's happy or not, that he's the type of person who has to get back to work, which I think everyone can attest to. The captain appears, and Alison starts to explain her situation. And the captain basically says that he could be a spy for her in this situation. Obviously being invisible, he can just watch over her. Alison's a bit hesitant at first because she doesn't want to ruin her relationship. And we get this mix-up of do's and don'ts as they're trying to... as the captain's trying to suggest that maybe she does it without explicitly saying it. I like Alison at this point, just gets frustrated and says, "How did we win the war?" The captain finally gets the okay to do it, and he says, "Don't worry, I'll find out if she's German," not realising that's not his task. We see Mike doing his work. He's just sending out some emails.
I paused on his emails to see what kind of job he was doing, and it's kind of like HR stuff.
Yeah, kind of.
Which I mean, maybe he has a HR background that we just don't know of. But,
Or maybe this was just what his skills sort of. If they were just trying to find him a job in this company that this woman was part of, then maybe that's just what he sort of matched up with. I love how we get this like tense music leading up to something. You think, oh, is it going to be a scare? And it turns out it's just Julian pranking him by adding an extra O into the word Bob. So it says boob. I just love how it cuts back to Julian laughing about this. Mike starts to get angry and starts shouting at the thin air as he thinks that the ghosts are behind him. He keeps doing that thing again where he just shouts upwards, thinking they're all floating. Julian continues his pranks where he manages to change. I can't even remember. It's annual review.
Yeah,
he changes it to something else.
He gets rid of an N and a U.
To which Robin bursts out laughing and just says, like bomb.
Yeah.
They're both on the same page with this. And Mike says that he's going to, if they carry on, he's going to tell on them. He goes to finish off this email, but just as he's about to send it, Julian puts a kiss at the end of it, and Mike is absolutely horrified. Which
he loses his shit, doesn't he? Like, he's so angry.
He's
I think you would be. I think it's funny, but it is warranted. Like,
ultimately, there's no consequence to Julian. Like, nothing can happen.
What are you going to say? There's a ghost that lives in my house and he did it.
Yeah, you just sound absolutely insane if you said that. So he's horrified and is unsure of what to do next. We see Lucy arrive. Kitty's clearly jealous and annoyed, which she claims she's not. She says she's the opposite. She's happy.
She says, if you see... Another thing that made me laugh, she says, if you see me crying, it's because I'm so happy.
Which again is just like Kitty's sort of very childlike sort of attitude to everything. We see Mike, he actually goes through with what he said and he goes to tell on Julian. Alison is sort of getting the full story from Julian and she sort of laughs at it, which, to be fair, it is pretty funny. Like, if somebody had told you they'd done this. Alison's not really taking it seriously. Anyway, outside we see Lucy and Alison sort of awkwardly hug, which I think is a telling sign. They sort of aren't sort of clicking. Thomas says that he doesn't feel anything towards Lucy now, but this completely changes when she sort of mentions that she's brought some poetry books, and then Thomas starts to flirt with her again, which confuses Alison because she doesn't understand he's now flirting with Lucy again and is infatuated with her all over again. Meanwhile, we'll see the captain watching on. Again, he's not really learnt any lessons from the last episode because he's hiding behind the car, even though she cannot see him. Lucy's brought something to drink, and sort of while she's there. And Mary, we see, is convinced now that Fanny is actually the devil, because she said she saw her head turn all the way around. And when quizzed about it, she says, well, not all the way, but both ways. And they probably meet up in the middle, which is very different, I suppose. Fanny appears at this point and actually compliments Lucy. Like Alison's comment, and she says, oh, you like her. Which Alison then tries to style it all back out, tries to style it out and asks if she travels. And she says, oh, she's actually been to Berlin, which the captain takes as a sign that, she is German. Yeah. Again, still not the assignment, but... No. They're talking about if Fanny could be a demon. And they say, not really, she's jolly. You don't see many jolly demons. And Julian says, well, vice, decadence, fornication, it's good work if you can get it. So Julian on the side of Satan, I suppose. Yeah. Mary tries to exorcise her, which doesn't do anything. And Pat says that Fanny's definitely up to something, but is not sure what it is at this point. I did make some notes here, but I can't remember what they're referring to. It says lady and chucklesome imp so high. I don't know. So yeah, I'm trying to remember the point of what I put this down. We got to remember I made these notes a week ago, so trying to remember exactly what I was writing there. Not sure, but anyway, that's something that's said at that point. So I'll let you fill in the gap. And Julian clocks what's happened at this point because he says that he's seen that sort of smile before. He says that she's having an affair. And at this suggestion, Fanny gets embarrassed and basically flees. So they realise that's what it is. They all start to cheer. But Robin says, and sort of brings the sort of revelation crashing back down to earth, that, well, if she's having an affair, it has to be with another ghost. It has to be with somebody in this room. And then somebody says, or the captain, and I said, no, somebody in this room. Which I thought was funny. Again, we've not had this explicitly said, but there's reasons why this is the case. Robin is miming at this point as well. I remember this point. He's miming what she gets up to, and it's just so uncomfortable. Robin trying to mime somebody kissing.
It made me feel ill. It was the noises. It was horrible.
I can't imagine. I mean, we've said a million times that Robin's quite intellectual and he's more wise than he lets on, but I can't imagine the idea of courtship is something that Robin understands. I guess it's very simplistic to him of what happens, I guess, without going into detail. We see Lucy getting another tour of the house, I guess, again, and she comments on how big the house is and how amazing it all is. And Alison at this point, realising that maybe she does have a claim on this house, tries to downplay it and say, oh, it's not all it's cracked up to be. The captain arrives and suggests that he'll watch her for any pillow talk, and Alison's a bit confused at this as to say she's in there on her own. Do you know what pillow talk actually is? To which he confesses pillow talk is when you talk to your own pillow, which is not what it is, but somebody in this house might practice this, so we will see that come back later on.
When you said this house, I was like,
Shelley.
Shelley doesn't even have a pillow.
That's sad, isn't it, really?
She doesn't need one. Yeah. Her tail is her pillow.
Yeah.
I was just like, what?
I have heard.
I was like, I don't talk to my pillow.
Back to Mike, we see that he's got an email back. He's panicking, but he reads through the email and it's all fine. It's all normal. But he has a bit of horror at the end of this as he realises that at the end of the email there's 2 kisses. Mm-hmm. So she's done the kiss escalation. Now, I think everybody's not been in this particular situation, but if you've ever sent a kiss to somebody and then they reply with more, then it throws you. You're like, do I do more? Do I match? It's a whole game basically at that point. And obviously with your boss, probably not ideal. Mike again starts to shout at the air, thinking that the ghosts are watching over him, but nobody's there. Yeah. As we see all the ghosts in another room, just hearing Mike out the sort of, I was going to say corner of their ear. It's not a thing, but yeah. Just in a different room, basically. They're all trying to figure out who this other ghost could be in Fanny's life. Pat admits that he has had a dream about Fanny, but weirdly, Fanny had Robin's head. Now, I can't even begin to unpack that dream. I don't know what happened. I'd say that sounds like a cheese dream, but he's not had cheese, you know what I mean? So, they suggest maybe it's Thomas, and Thomas gets really upset about this and says that he'd never be sort of interested. And at this point, we see Fanny sneaking away as Mary gives chase. And as Mary sort of enters the room, she's shocked to see what she sees. She goes back to all the ghosts arguing about who it is. And I think it's Julian suggests that it could be the ape, to which Robin says, read some Darwin. Which is just funny from a ghost of a caveman, I suppose. And Mary then explains who it is, and she says that it's Humphrey, or at least it's Humphrey's body. As Humphrey's just completely oblivious and is completely confused as to what's going on. So they all march upstairs and they catch Fanny in the act, and she says that it's complicated, to which Humphrey's head says, "You're telling me."
I just find this such a strange, like, obviously, I just don't know where they came up with this.
I guess the funny thing is, Fanny's ideal man is somebody who literally cannot talk back to her. Is just a body, you know what I mean? Like,
oh God.
Yeah. She doesn't want any sort of. I don't even know. Like, I was going to say intellectual sort of conversation or like that kind of stuff. She's just. This is purely a physical thing, which again is just funny because it's a bloody headless ghost. Yeah. But anyway, Thomas interrupts Alison, who's getting ready, which she's annoyed about. But it turns out that he's not actually interrupting Alison to sort of perv, I guess. There's no other word for it, on her. He's actually looking for where Lucy is. So this is just a little sort of a side thing. Fanny tries to defend herself. Humphrey's absolutely livid. Pat says that they shouldn't lose their heads and says no offence to Humphrey. And Julian, I liked in this part, Julian and Robin just laughing at this situation. Pat suggests that Fanny, as I just mentioned, that Fanny likes Humphrey's body because he can't disagree with her about anything. And she says she's in love with some of this man and doesn't care who knows it. Mary.
It's just weird. Like, it's so strange.
Yeah. Mary, in response to this, says, "Good for you, girl," which feels like loose women's definitely having an effect on Mary.
Yeah.
As Lucy's on her own, she gets a text, and the captain sort of pops his head in the bag to sort of read it, and he says that it's interesting. Back to Mike, he's sort of agonising about how to reply, and he says, "Do you know what? Honesty is the best policy. I'm just gonna be completely straight with it." Which Julian says, honesty and policy should not meet. Basically, he owns up that the kisses were a typo. But as he's writing this, he sort of is typing out the sentence, "I want you," as part of a bigger email. But Julian presses send as he does this, and I think this one got a big laugh from me. Mike immediately gets an email back saying that this response is completely inappropriate and they'll have to discuss it in person. And Mike thinks that's it, he's getting fired now, and just starts swinging his fists at the air.
It's kind of like, I mean, it is funny. It's not funny because if it was real life it would be funny.
Yeah.
But it is funny because it's like, well, two reasons. Like, Julian, there's no consequence and he knows it. Like, he knows that there's nothing.
What they're going to do, he's going to hit him. Yeah.
And that's the thing.
Yeah.
Mike has got no way of letting out this anger and frustration because this is just, he can't even, it's not even like where it's Alison where he can see Julian and shout at him. He literally can't even see.
He has no idea. Exactly. He might not even be there. The only indication he's got that happened. So yeah. And Julian says, "Oh, I wouldn't worry. Like, you shouldn't get into trouble for that. Just sending these like jokey sort of bantery emails, as he calls them." Which I think Julian's definitely a person of the 90s because this would not fly these days. He would be absolutely taken apart. And then we get. I really like this scene, and there's no other way to describe it other than we get a romantic montage of Fanny walking around with Humphrey's body in the screen.
It's just weird. I just don't know where they came up with this.
So I can't remember what the song's called. It's got a specific name.
Okay.
The music just reminds me of The Sims. Do you know when you get two Sims to make a baby? Yeah, there's this music that accompanies it. So I was just laughing about this sort of scene, basically. And they're just laughing with one another and just enjoying each other's company. We see Humphrey's head watching, just sort of watching on at the window. And we then... This is a weird bit. There's no other way to describe this. Fanny and Humphrey's body go up to the bedroom and they sort of lie back as if something's going to happen. And then we cut to Humphrey's head and he makes just this weird, like, delighted exhaling noise and says, "Oh, that keeps happening." I won't go into detail, but you could probably get the gist of what's happening there.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So, yeah, I just thought it was funny. And again, it's just weird that it's like, yeah, just a weird subplot this week. Lucy is talking to Alison about her business idea for a coffee/art space. This sounds a very London idea. Yeah. And Thomas is just laughing along to Lucy's jokes and comments, which is just annoying Alison. She tries to find out a bit more about Lucy in this situation without trying to like raise suspicion, just being generally curious, I guess. And also tries to downplay the house again. Lucy comments that the house is so homely. She said, "Look at the fire. It's a real fire." And then Robin sort of gets a bit interested in this. Kitty's still not sold on Lucy in this situation. We then see Humphrey watching on as his body goes on a date with Fanny.
If you'd have told me 400 years ago that one day I'd be watching my decapitated body having an affair with a 60-year-old dead woman, I'd have said you were mad.
And that would be fair enough, mate.
She does look happy, though. I not seen Fanny like it.
She's right. I mean, call me an old romantic, but is it not possible that there could be something in this?
Are you having a laugh?
I'm just saying, mate, you know, some part of you, well, most of you proportionally speaking, feels quite content with the situation.
And likes it or not, it be that bit which hath the heart.
Elsewhere, we see Lucy talking about her dating life, and Alison again is desperately trying to get some information out of her, but completely fails. Basically, she keeps trying to ask how old she is and stuff like this, and she's just really vague with all of it, which again, knowing how it all pans out at the end of this, I wonder if this is on purpose or maybe
Definitely,
it is. Yeah. Thomas and Kitty watch on, both having very different views of Lucy. We see the captain emerge through the door, only showing his head, and the rest of his sort of not his body, but the rest of it is a pinny with like a honky body on it, basically. And he says that he wants to speak to Alison, and she pretends to just go to the toilet. The ghosts watch on, and I noticed in this scene, I don't know if it was just me, but Lucy seems to change demeanour when Alison leaves. She seems like is all friendly when Alison's around, but when she's sort of gone, she seems to have like a sterner face on her. And what did they say now? Oh, there's a point where there's a comment earlier on where I think Lucy says that she got her dad's skin or something like that when they're trying to talk about her aging, and Robin sort of comments back here that he kept his dad's skin as well, which is just a really strange sort of he doesn't really get what they're talking about. The captain goes into his debrief, very official sort of wrap up of this mission, but then Mike sort of enters at this point and explains what's happened with Julian, and says that, you know, don't trust Lucy because, you know, the worst case scenario happens every time. So, you know, she probably is trying to scam you, but this is just because he's had a horrible sort of interaction with his boss. As they sort of continue, the captain says he didn't find anything about Lucy other than she has a mobile and a handbag. So not really anything that's suspicious. He's annoyed that Alison doesn't appreciate his efforts. And he says that no spies ever got past him while he was working there, while he was working in the military. But Alison kind of drops a bombshell on him that, oh, maybe loads did and you just never noticed. To which he kind of has like a crisis, about hearing this. Mike's boss is then at the door. And she looks annoyed. He invites her in and he tries to apologise and explain about what happened. But she says that she feels the same way. And this is where that sort of starts taking a turn for the worse for Mike, I guess. Back in the kitchen, Alison tries to confront Lucy and just sort of ask her out, straight out about this DNA test, or but chickens out a bit. Understandably, I guess it's kind of a hard question to ask. The captain arrives and tries to shout at Lucy. Thomas and Kitty all join in as well, and they all, in the classic ghost sort of way, they all end up talking over her. So Alison kind of struggles to have a conversation with Lucy.
Yeah.
The best way to describe this is, and I know this is 3 series in, so we probably don't need to because you've seen it, but have you ever seen that thing when you hear your own voice back as you're talking?
Oh, it happens on the phone at work all the time.
And it just throws you off.
You can't concentrate on what you're saying.
Yeah.
It happened to me the other day. I can't remember where I was. I can't remember what I was doing. Oh, I can't remember. Maybe it was at work.
Yeah, it sounds like it. I've done that before, where there's like an echo back on somebody's mic, and it's just completely.
You're like, I can't understand what's going on.
Yeah.
It's overwhelming, isn't it?
There is like a scientific reason for it. But it's like something to do with like hearing speech blocks your ability to speak, so you just literally cannot get your words out because it's your brain's trying to do the same thing twice, basically. That's in very basic terms. There's probably a better way to describe that, but anyway. Back in the library, Mike's boss is being very forward with him, saying that she wants to talk about them as an item. Julian switches on some smooth jazz, which Mike's boss then takes as a sign, and we also see Robin sort of playing with the lights to dim them. Back in the kitchen, Alison shouts at the ghosts to quiet them down, which again shocks Lucy, and basically just comes out with it. She explains about the solicitor and what he said, and suggests about a DNA test. And Lucy, understandably, if this was real, is shocked and offended at what's been suggested.
Yeah. See, if you were genuine, you'd be like, of course, like that's absolutely fine. But just to reassure you, I don't want your house. Like,
I don't know. I think it could be taken either way. I think if you were genuine, you could be upset that like. I
don't know. I think you'd understand if that happened to me.
Oh,
for example, I think I'd be like, if that happened, if I was in Lucy's situation and I was genuine, I'd be like, of course, like, why would you not want that confirmation? Like, I'm nobody to you. Like, of course you'd want, like, the that sort absolute, like, written on paper that this is what I'm saying is true. And I think as soon as she gets annoyed about it, it just screams that she isn't genuine. Wrong. Yeah.
See, I could take it as either way, because I could understand somebody being upset about their sort of integrity being questioned.
Yeah, so, I get that. But I would definitely understand.
I think. She storms off and says she's probably just better on her own. And we go back to Mike again. He owns up that this was all an accident. This is not what he wants, and his boss takes it really badly. She says, "Oh, it's happened again." So not the first time this has happened, apparently. And she basically says, if he doesn't tell HR that she could do something for him. But I mean, don't know about you. If this happened to me at work, I don't know if I could continue working at that place, to be honest, because how awkward would it be? She's still his boss.
Mike's the one who's put it in writing.
Yeah,
she
exactly.
hasn't really done anything.
Yeah. She says we need to talk about it. Anything could have happened in the house, I suppose.
Apart from if it's happened before, then it's going to be like, well, if she's had that kind of thing happen before, then...
Yeah. Who knows? But anyway... this all works out well for him in the end because, as we find out later on, he gets a promotion. But yeah, that's so
win-win.
Win-win, I guess. Yeah. Alison goes outside and chases after Lucy and sort of apologizes, and she says she doesn't want it to. Lucy says that she doesn't want to stay now. She feels uncomfortable, and Thomas is also upset. Until he sees the poetry that Lucy's reading and realises it's a book of Byron's poetry, and he goes completely off her again with this. He reminds me, have you ever seen that Instagram account, Beam Me Up Soft Boy, where it's like people sending like messages on like Tinder and stuff, and they're always like, oh, I'm only into like dark wave music and stuff like that. They're always like trying to be the most edgy people they can. This is what Thomas is like. He's that type of person. He's like completely everything he does is based off of his own tastes and stuff like that. But yeah. Anyway, so yeah, Lucy leaves at this point, and Alison is just embarrassed about all this. And the captain says that they snafu'd the mission, which I think it's kind of. He didn't help the situation there, so it's hard to sort of blame Lucy that it was her that messed it up. We also see Mike's boss leaving at the same time and looks really surprised that Alison's there. Mike mentions that he's been promoted. They both explain that what's just happened are both very long stories and they'd have to explain about it. And this is when Thomas continues his pursuit of Alison and compliments her lipstick. He even gets the right shade of red. He says it's damson red. But then he takes it too far, as per usual. Just to finish it off, we hear Fanny and Humphrey's body getting up to stuff, and Humphrey comes to talk to Fanny.
Oh. Only me.
And me.
Look, Top of Humphrey, I know you don't approve of...
Please, just let me speak. I can't pretend all this didn't take me by surprise, but what do I know about love? My marriage ended with me getting my head chopped off, so if some part of me likes some part of you, then couldn't we all just give this a chance? I don't know where we go from here. If there's one thing I do know, it's that love...
No.
Right?
No, that's ruined it for me. Oh, and I don't know what I ever saw in her to think there was... Oh, no. Oh, out of my way.
She's back.
So yeah, with this, Humphrey's head gets reattached to his body, and Fanny says immediately, "Oh, that's put me off," and leaves. To which Humphrey says, "Oh well, guess it's just you and me now," and his body punches his head off. And then the final sort of scene is at night. We see the captain talking to his pillow to end the day. So he really does do pillow talk. And then, yeah, we end the episode. So, what did you think?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I mean, it's not like the best episode, but there's definitely bits that made me laugh. I'm thinking like of the sort of out of 10. I'd give it a 7.5.
7.5. Okay.
I think didn't like. I guess when I think of like the storylines as a whole, like the individual storylines, so like out of the 3 main storylines that there were in that episode, so like Fanny and Humphrey, Mike, Julian, Robin and his boss, and Alison and Lucy, like I found like I find the Alison and Lucy story more interesting. And we didn't see much of that. And like the Fanny and Humphrey thing, I don't know. It's funny.
Okay.
Don't get me wrong, but like, it's kind of like come out of nowhere, I suppose.
Yeah.
And I guess I never really understood it until you said earlier, because Fanny just wants like somebody that can't talk back to her, and I was like, okay, that kind of makes sense now. So even with that in mind, like I just found it a bit odd. Like I didn't really know where it came from. And the thing with Mike, I guess like that's funny, like it's something different, and I guess if you live with ghosts, that's the kind of thing that you have to deal with. Like they're going to be bored and want stuff to do and wind you up.
I guess it's like a poltergeist, but the least like destructive version of a poltergeist.
So I just think of the three storylines that is kind of going on, it just wasn't like the most engaging of each one. I was kind of, I wouldn't say I didn't enjoy the episode because I did give it a 7.5, but it's definitely not the most interesting of the ones that we've seen. I can't remember what I gave the last episode. I think that was 7.5 or an 8. I think that was 7.5. I found the last couple of episodes, not sort of enjoyed them as much on a second watch. But I don't know. I think series 3 was always the one that I couldn't remember much about. The first series, I as we were watching it, I was like, oh yeah, I remember that happening. But even with like, I don't want to give away spoilers, so like Lucy spoilers coming up. I know that she's not genuine, but I can't even remember why she's not genuine. And I'm not looking it up because I don't want to know. I want to wait till I get to it.
We'll find out, I guess.
But so I'd say 7.5. Enjoyed the episode as a whole, but like I wasn't like super like, oh, that was a really good episode. What did you think?
I think this might be a reverse of a situation that happened. I think it was the Christmas episode where you rated it really highly and I didn't. And we were like, oh, that's surprising that we're both different opposite scales. I gave this a 9. I really like this episode and I have no idea why, because I don't remember it as being like a good episode.
No, a standout episode.
But I was laughing all the way through it. I thought a lot of it was, as a rating as a comedy, I just thought it was really funny. It's probably one of my favourite episodes that we've done so far, and I didn't expect that, to be honest.
No.
It feels like the Lucy story again is sort of hinting at its conclusion now. But it does leave you feeling like Alison at the end of the episode as well. Like obviously we know the outcome, but at this stage it seems like Alison has just upset her sister, who she's really happy to sort of reconnect with. That's upsetting. And then the other two plots I just thought were just really funny. I don't know, so I really enjoyed this one.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I think like this series is definitely different to the last two, in that we've got this like storyline that's going through the whole series. Although we didn't get much of it last episode. We obviously didn't see Lucy, so I can't remember if it concludes the next episode or the next one. So the next episode will be 5. Okay.
Yeah, because it's episode 4.
Yeah, I can't remember if it's the next one or the last one, but
I think
it's the first time that we've had this like ongoing storyline through the series. Which is interesting to explore, because all the other episodes have just been like this like quick story, and it's kind of like come full circle within the episode. Whereas
there's cliffhangers left on this one, I guess.
Yes, yeah. I was trying to think then, because I was like, I was thinking of a program, and then I just remember what program it is, and it's Friday Night Dinner, where the episode ends. This I don't feel like Ghosts does this, but it just reminded me of Friday Night Dinner, when like the episode ends and you just like, well, how are they going to get out of that situation?
And it's never resolved.
And it's never resolved on camera, but somehow everything just gets resolved. Whereas Ghosts, each episode has been, up until this series, doing that full circle. Where we've always come back to like I'm going to use a word, I don't know if I'm using it right. equilibrium. No.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah, we always come back to that thing.
Yeah.
Maybe obviously we watch an episode of Ghosts every week, but it's still really hard to remember every episode. I don't know how you find it.
Yeah, I mean, I've noticed this this is just getting older. I forget everything. I've been watching TV series back again, or continuations of TV series, and I just forget what's happened in it. So even with this, I'm like, what has happened with this again?
Yeah.
So yeah, trying to remember all of it is difficult.
But even episodes that we've dissected in this, I'm still like, what? I can't remember what happened.
Do you know what I think helps a lot with recall of this? This is completely on a tangent here, but either doing a podcast about something because you take a lot of notes it helps you
think about it
more, or listening to a podcast. So I understand why people do listen to TV podcasts. I do. I watch it if I can watch a TV series because it helps you analyze it a bit more and it sticks. Whereas there's some stuff I watch, if I don't talk to somebody about it or it's just gone and I cannot remember.
Sometimes though, I kind of forget that we're recording this.
Yeah.
And that's when I'm like, what did I say last time? Because I'm not actually thinking about what I'm saying.
You won't remember what you
said. I'm
said,
just kind of just talking as if, I don't know, we were having a conversation, but other people are listening.
Basically.
And I guess that's just what I'm like in the real world. I never think what I say, and usually say the wrong thing. So, yeah, it's interesting, but probably a strange way to end the episode.
Well, we haven't ended
it was
there.
Good.
We haven't. We've still got IMDb. We've got to go to what everybody else thinks of the episode.
16 episodes in. How could I forget IMDb?
So you gave it a 7.5. I would get a 9. IMDb gave it a 7.7 from 500. So I wouldn't say this is a highly rated one at all.
So me and IMDb are kind of
probably I think the general consensus is more along with you, and it'd be interesting to see what other people think.
Yes,
because,
definitely.
Yeah, it's weird sometimes that you just catches you off guard, and rewatching stuff you might go, I didn't appreciate that at the time, but yeah. Anyway.
Spirits and spectres to Tasha's spooky corner.
So, this week on Tash's spooky segment corner place.
Tasha's place.
I don't even know what it's called.
Neither do I. I made it and I can't remember.
To be honest, I don't listen to this podcast.
We make it, so yeah. I listen to it to make sure it doesn't sound bad.
And that I've not said something offensive. But yeah, so this week on this segment of the podcast, we're going to look at
Isla de las Muñecas.
Okay. Isla, how is it? Go on, have you got the word?
Isla de las Muñecas.
Right.
Isla de las Muñecas.
Isla de las Muñecas.
Isla de las Muñecas.
Okay. What's that in English? Sorry, probably got an ASMR experience then from me just moving around. Do you remember
English.
That? Do you remember that?
In Anglais,
okay.
It is the Island of the Dolls.
Of the Dolls. Okay.
So, I actually found this really interesting to look into. Because I've heard of the Island of the Dolls, but I never knew where it came from, why it was the way
it is.
It is. So, I've been told by a reliable source that my French was very good.
Okay, yeah. How about you, Spanish?
We'll see. I think I might have removed Spanish words. So, okay. So, the Island of the Dolls, just south of Mexico City, between the canals of Echimo.
Try it again.
It starts with an X.
Oh, yeah.
Echimico.
Maybe, yeah. I don't know what the X, how you pronounce the X either, so.
All right, well, just if you're interested, look it up. You can find a small island with a sad background, which never intended to be a tourist destination. The island is known as Isla de las Muñecas. Muñeca.
Yeah.
I'll go back to it. You got it at the beginning.
Yeah.
Or the Island of the Dolls. It is dedicated to the lost soul of a poor girl who met her fate too soon in strange circumstances. The area has thousands of people, but this small island is home to hundreds of terrifying dolls. Their severed limbs, decapitated heads, and blank eyes adorn the trees. Visitors also claim they have heard the dolls whispering to each other. It is said that a girl who was drowned in mysterious circumstances many years ago It is said that a girl who was found drowned in mysterious circumstances many years ago on the island, and the dolls are possessed by her spirit. Local legend says that the dolls move their heads and arms and have even opened their eyes. The girl's body was found by owner of the island, Don Julian Santana Barrera.
That's a lot of names. I like that.
I know. Yeah. They do like a lot of names.
I think it's I don't know. It's boring. It just having two names. Like I'd love to have like a load of names. Yeah. Anyway,
you've got three.
I suppose, but no one says the middle. Yeah.
Well, we'll just call you Don Luke and we're done with it.
Is Don his name or is it a title? I don't know.
I don't know, but further, I'd call him Don Julian all the way through.
Okay.
So.
Yeah.
So shortly after the girl was found, Don Julian saw a floating doll near the canals. Most probably the doll belonged to the girl. He picked up the doll and hung it to a tree as a way of showing respect and support to the spirit of the girl. Don Julian was apparently haunted by the spirit of the girl and started hanging more dolls in an attempt to please her spirit. He soon realised the dolls themselves were possessed by the spirits of the dead girl and continued to collect creepy dolls, hanging them all over the island. According to those close to him, it was as if Don Julian was driven by some unseen force that completely changed him. Apparently, he was very marked by the fact that he was not able to save the little girl's life. In 2001, Don Julian's nephew came to the island to help his uncle. As they fished in the canal, Don Julian, then 80, sang passionately, claiming that mermaids were in the water were calling for him. The nephew left briefly, and upon his return found Don Julian lifeless face down in the canal, in the same spot where the girl was said to have drowned. Many people on the island believe that Don Julian has joined the other spirits of the island. The locals are very faithful that the Isla de la Muñeca
we needed a bit of levity after that.
It's a charmed place. It has since become a tourist attraction where visitors bring more dolls. The island has been featured on a travel channel show, Ghost Adventures, and the Amazon Prime show Lore. It was also featured on BuzzFeed Unsolved, where host Shane Madej, a firm skeptic of the paranormal, asserted that he believes the legends about the island.
See, my instinct was that it's not like when it was like, oh, he's like taken by the spirits. I think it's more sounds like somebody who's like incredibly traumatized by the fact that a little girl died on this island and probably just can't live with himself, and more psychological than a ghost. But who knows? Maybe it was a ghost. Creepy dolls. Just in general, they're just
creepy,
scary.
Aren't they?
Creepy. Apparently, it's because it's what's it called? They look like humans but aren't humans. You know what I mean? Apparently anything that resembles a human but is removed from it just sends us like naturally we're just scared of it because it's just like that's not right. Something about it's weird. So I mean, all that together doesn't sound like a good thing, does it? I guess you can go to the island.
Yeah, tourist attraction.
Yeah,
So.
It's a bit of a dark one, though.
Next week we're going to Isla de Muñecas. I'm so bad at languages. I just have this
I think that's a British thing. We're just crap at, like, you've heard me trying to describe wines, so so you know.
Merlot.
Yeah, I genuinely said to somebody when I used to work in a pub, when they asked about the white wines, I said, would you prefer the Chardonnay or the Pinot Gringo? And they were like, just looked at me like, what are you saying?
And we'll leave it there.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening. We love to hear what you think, and if you'd like to keep up to date with when new episodes of the podcast are released, you can follow us on our Instagram and our Facebook profile. Just search Haunting Button House. You can also get in touch via email at hauntingbuttonhouse@outlook.com.